instead of 8 meters is a totally different road. So, traction, moving on soft underground, width. Definitely big advantages. And another one is we have a electric controlled steering. That means we can push a button and the paper is going absolutely straight. Controlled via sensors that the motor is turning exactly with the same speed. So the paper is going absolutely straight, which is impossible with our wheel paper. On the wheel paper you always have to steer. On a track paper it's going straight. So if you want to make a turn, you're also able to push buttons to get a continuous turn. This is another big advantage. And for sure, with more traction, it's also easier to push the feeding trucks. And this is what we do with the paper. We are pushing the feeding trucks. And that's quite much easier with the track paper. So if you have to go on slope, or a lot uphill, or also downhill, it's easier with the track paper. Definitely easier with the track paper. Okay? So far, so clear? Any questions?
Sorry, again. I want to ask how about hopper? Hopper is the same wheel paper, and track paper, different or not? It's the same, different hopper.
The hopper is a little bit bigger on the track paper.
So it's
Yes,
advantage.
It's an advantage. And another advantage is you can have for the track paper a hopper insert. And you can operate these papers with a feeder, with an additional feeder, which is not possible with the wheel papers. You can also only do it with the track paper. Maybe you never saw it, but let's say in Central Europe now, it's a rule, as long as the project is more than 11,000 square meters, you have to use a feeder. You have to use it, there's no question. You have to use it. It's a rule. So that means in Germany, Central Europe, you will see a lot of track papers on the big projects. Because the wheel papers are not able to hold the hopper insert and the feeder in front. Some more questions? No? Yes? Clear? Clear? Yeah. Perfect, perfect. So, next and most important topic is the floating street. What is a floating street? What means floating street? Any ideas? Try.
Flow is basically the speed and flow is one you are making towards, and the dry skate is moving forward. Speed is coming.
Yes, absolutely correct. So I will repeat. He said that you have floating mode when the paper is in paved mode, and the joystick, the main traction switch, is in forward position. There is a joystick for driving. You can go backwards or forward. In paved mode, it's only possible to forward. Reverse is impossible. So you can select pave mode, you start to go forward, and then the screed is in float. Absolutely correct. But still the question, what is float? What is the meaning of float?
Just to make sure the speed both sides maximum while hitting
The screed is flexible?
or moving.
More freedom.
Or
More freedom.
I think this speed don't need any hydraulic pressure to keep it up or down. So this we need a
Yeah. So at the end we can say during float, the paper, wow, I'm not so good in drawing, I'm sorry. The paper and the screed is completely independent, right?
yes.
What is the paper doing with the screed during the paving process? Just towing. Just towing in this direction. Towing. This is all we do, yeah? Let's say I am the paper, this is the screed. As long I don't pave, I hold the screed with my hydraulic cylinders. Because this is what you see here in the back. There are a hydraulic cylinder, and this hydraulic cylinder is holding the screed in the height, wherever you want to have it. Yeah? When we are not in paving mode, I am the paver, I secure the screed, I hold it in the whatever height. So when I start to pave, these cylinders are not active. They are completely, let's say, out of pressure. They are completely free. So actually they are not existing anymore. You still can see them, but they are not existing. Hydraulically, they are not existing. So they are free. So the only connection I have now to the paper is here at my toe point ramp. Here is a toe point position. So this is the only connection I have now via this screed arm. This is the only connection to the screed. And what I'm doing now, when I pave, I am the paver, this is the screed, I just throw it behind me. Nothing more. And whatever happens underneath the screed will react. So that means, or the consequence is, who is holding now the screed? Who is carrying the screed weight? Not the paver. The paver is only towing the screed. But who's carrying the screed weight now? And this is a heavy screed. The material. Exactly. So during paving process, I expect that we have material here in the front of the screed, plus material underneath. Here is material. And this material now have to carry the screed, the full screed weight, because the full screed weight is present during paving process. How is that possible? Because as far as I know, when the asphalt plant brings us the material, this material is loose. So how is it possible that the material can carry the screed weight? How is it possible? Any idea? Any ideas? Yes. Exactly. Located in front of the screen, we have a compaction device. We call this temper. What we are doing when we are paving, the temper is on. So the temper is compacting the material and give the material a pre-compaction. And pre-compacted material can carry the screed weight. So it depends a little bit on how much speed you run the temper. You get more or less pre-compaction. We call this uplift force. This is an uplift force for the screed. Pre-compaction. You can also call it pre-compaction. So pre-compacted material is able to carry the screed weight. So screed is completely free. That means also the full screed weight is forcing down. Against this force, against this weight, we have the uplift force, our pre-compaction. In this direction, we have the towing force. We can also call it traction. And against this traction, we have here the head of material, which creates resistance. And these are the four influencing forces during repave. First, we start to move. With material in front, we have resistance and traction. And when we start to move, we, let's say, release the screed weight. We don't hold it anymore with the paper. So we have the full screed weight forcing down. We start our temper to pre-compact the material, and we create a kind of uplift force. This is what we do during paving. So these forces are present here on the connection of the screed arm to the screed. There is our traction force, plus also here at this point, because this is our towing point. Our head of material is the resistance. The screed weight is forcing down because these cylinders are not active or they are completely free. You can also dismantle these cylinders during paving. There is no more force or pressure, nothing. And underneath the screed, with our tempers, we create our uplift force. This is the basic principle of floating screed. Can we change the traction force? How? How can we change? Speed. So our towing or traction is actually speed. So the paver speed in meters per minute. If we go slower, our screed will react. If we go faster, the screed will also react. Can we change the resistance? More or less material. You see, if I get more material from the conveyor, I have more resistance. So this is definitely the head of material. Head of material. And there it's the same, because the screed is completely free. In this direction, the screed is completely free. So if I force the screed with my head of material here, my screed will maybe go down. If I now increase the head of material, I will force the screed here, the screed will react and my thickness will grow. So if you play with the head of material too much, your screed will react. So if the head of material varies too much, you will face irregularities. Definitely. Can we also influence the uplift force? Yes? How? More or less temper, yeah? Say more or less pre-compaction. So the temper speed. More temper speed, more pre-compaction. The screed will go upwards, or the thickness grows. Less temper speed, less pre-compaction, material is softer, screed weight sinks a little bit down, because the screed weight is the same. The screed sink down, as well as our thickness. It also goes down. Can we also influence our screed weight? Yes? How?
Speed assist.
Screed assist. There is a special function. We will see that later for these cylinders, where we can supply a little bit pressure and let's say slightly decrease a little bit the screed weight. This is possible. So screed assist. So if we reduce the screed weight with the same pre-compaction underneath, the screed will go up a little bit. Different weight on the same pre-compaction, different reaction. So far? Any questions or clear? G? Clear? Yeah? Sure? Good.
Maybe if I have any question, I will ask you later.
Later?
Yeah.
You made me forget everything. Yeah? Clear so far? Sure? Clear? Clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Clear? 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 Yes? Paul?
Just one
I'm sure.
Then I will how about when you use the switch assistant in the job site? When you need to use it
Again, please.
for the function of switch assistant in the job site making.
Screed assist is a very, very special function.
Yeah. When we use it in the job
I will
site.
show you in the practical part, because basically, when we pave, we try to do it without screed assist. Because screed assist is influencing our floating process. So normally I don't want that to influence my floating process, because you got an advantage from the screed assist, but you also got disadvantages from the screed assist. This is what we discuss later. It is just to see that there is a possibility to influence the screed weight. In the end, this is what I do with customers. I do it in the same way. I explain it in the same way. My last question always is, okay, you see, T, our traction, our towing, is at the end our paper speed. R is our head of material. W is our screed weight. U is our temper speed. And then I asked all the customers, by the way, who is adjusting the temper speed? Who is adjusting the paper speed? Who is adjusting the conveyor? Who is adjusting the auger? Who is responsible for screed weight? But in the end, it's the customer. So the customer, in the end, decides with his parameters he adjusts on the paper, how good is our floating process? Is our screed floating in this position? Maybe in the negative position, maybe flat, or maybe in a very good position. In the end, it's the customer. So during a commission, it's our responsibility to show the customer, okay, here are your settings. We find the right position for the screed to have a, let's say, good paving. The required thickness with a good pre-compaction. We don't exhaust the machine too much. We don't face too much wear in this procedure. This is our responsibility. When we left from the job site, it's the responsibility of the customer. But we have to show him where are the little points to see if it is right or wrong. And this is what I try to do in the next 2 days with you. What's right, what is wrong. And you will see there is never a fixed paper speed. There is never a fixed temper speed. There is also not a fixed head of material. And there is also not a fixed screed weight. Sometimes it can be necessary to use screed assist. Most of the times it's not necessary. But I cannot make a basic rule and say, okay, 10% screed assist all the time, because it's wrong. It depends on thickness. It depends on the bearing capacity of the material. It depends on the temperature. It depends on your paver speed. It depends on your temper speed, as well as on your wear on the machine. So it's very, very, very variable, the system. So we have to see how is the paper acting. Is it a good, is it a smooth reaction? Is it a very slow reaction, a very fast reaction? What happened? How is the material? How is the paper intact? This is what we have to see. So I cannot say, yeah, in this case we use screed assist. Impossible. The only thing that I can tell you is we have a very tight turn. I use screed assist. But we will see that later. Why? Okay? Clear? So, what we can say in the end, that these 4 forces, they are present always when we are paving. And these 4 forces are a little bit like a big, great balance. They are a great balance. If we disturb this balance, something will happen with our thickness, and something will happen with our pre-compaction. In other words, if we pave with the same paving speed, the same head of material, the same screed weight, and the same pre-compaction, always, and we don't change it, what happened with the screed? Or what happened with our thickness? How is the screed acting? If we stay always on the same parameters, what happened? Nothing. The screed will follow always this toe point position, always parallel, as long these parameters are the same and we don't change it. The screed will follow this toe point position, always parallel. So if the paper is moving up, the screed is moving up. If the paper is moving down, the screed is moving down. if the paper stays smooth in always the same position, we will always have the same position on the screen. But when we start to play, for example with the paper speed, for sure the screen will react. If we go faster, we will lose pre-compaction. When we lose pre-compaction, the screen will sink down, less thickness, less pre-compaction. If we go slower, we achieve more pre-compaction. The thickness grows, plus more pre-compaction. If we increase the head of material, we shift the point where we force the screen. So if we go up, the screen goes up. If we are going down, the screen goes down. If we increase our weight, which is not possible normally, the screen will sink down. If we decrease the weight, the screen goes up. And also with the uplift force. Increasing uplift force, screen can go up. Decreasing uplift force, screen goes down. This is the basic principle. And please remember one thing, it doesn't matter if you use leveling system or not. If you do a manual paving or a paving with leveling system, it doesn't matter. The float behavior is always the same. So you're always working with these four forces. Traction, resistance, weight, uplift force. It doesn't matter if the leveling system is on or off. It doesn't matter. Yes. No, maybe. Clear? Not so clear? Any additional information, Mr. O'Brien? No? No questions? You?
But basically, it's all depends on the material.
Sorry?
But basically, all the forces depend on the material.
For sure. Material. Curing capacity, temperature, thickness. Sometimes it's also, you have the same material, same temperature, same curing capacity, but your underground is loose or it's completely hard. It makes a big difference. Yeah? A big difference. That's the point. Windy weather, very hot weather, sun, no sun, rain, no rain. A lot of things change. Yeah? Bitume. Do you know how many bitumes we use now in the road construction? How many different bitumes we use? There are approximately 20 to 25 different bitumes that we use for asphalt. Yeah? With polymer, without polymer.